What? Wisconsin ranked 10th.
How's it going, everybody? Flash Jordan here. That is right. We are back on the Jordan and Dad Show, Season 4 of the Jordan and Dad Show, coming at you for the 2019 season. We're going to start off the Jordan and Dad Show Season 4, the way we start every season, the Big Ten preview. We've not done very well on our predictions for the Big Ten preview. I think the only time either one of us has gotten it right is that I think I picked Wisconsin and Ohio State to go to the championship in 2017, and that did happen. Other than that, though, we've been pretty bad with our predictions. Obviously, myself as an Ohio State fan, I always choose them, except for, oddly enough, the first year we did this, I chose Michigan to go, and I regret that fully. But every year we've been pretty bad in our predictions. And let's bring in my guest, as always, Easy Eddie from C Crew Sports, aka Dad, on this show. How are you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. We are 6 days or less than 6 days away from college football 2019. I couldn't be more excited. So I'm doing well.
And let's get right into it. No reason to prolong this any more than we need to. The Big Ten East predictions, first from me, Flash Jordan. I think Ohio State will win. A lot of people are saying, well, they have a new quarterback and a new coach. There's no way they can beat Michigan this year. Well, Michigan also has a question mark of their own, a whole new offense that they're putting in. And Jim Harbaugh is not just going to let Josh Gaddis do everything. Jim Harbaugh, that's just not who Jim Harbaugh is. Michigan's going to stumble somewhere, and I think Ohio State will beat them again because Ohio State, again, is more talented. I do think Ryan Day might end up being a better coach than Jim Harbaugh if he's not already. Hot take. You know what? I said it, and it's out there now. Michigan State at 3. I think they're going to have a good season, winning 8, 9, possibly 10 games this year. I'm thinking around the 8 or 9, though. A lot of people are saying that this might be Mark D'Antonio's last year. If it is, it's probably going to be a good one. Maybe they could reach a New Year's Six bowl. Not really going to bet on that, but could be a good season for the Spartans. Penn State at 4. This might be a little bit of a down year. 7 or 8 wins maybe for them this year with a new quarterback. Next year, they're looking like they're going to be a good team, though. So watch out for Penn State in 2020. Maybe take a little bit of a step back in 2019. Maryland's a team that I think could trip a couple of these top teams up. You see what they almost did to Ohio State last year. I think they get Michigan at home this year. Don't quote me at that. But they get a couple of other good home games to win this year. So they could triple a couple of the top teams up this year. They don't get the guaranteed one with Texas, because Maryland's a powerhouse and Texas can't handle them. And then we have 6. At 6, I have Indiana. They're going to be all right. They might make a bowl game, probably not though. 4 or 5 to 6 wins, maybe this year for Indiana. And then of course, 7th we have Rutgers. Sorry, Rutgers. Maybe one day you'll be good again. Not in 2019 though.
Yeah. There are so many storylines in the 2019 season for actually all conferences. But in my opinion, I think that the Big Ten has the biggest question marks and the biggest storylines. So with the 2 most touted teams being Michigan Wolverines and the Ohio State Buckeyes, biggest storyline for Michigan is, will they beat Ohio State? And the biggest, storyline for the Buckeyes are, will they still be great with Ryan Day? And you almost have to just trust that for the last several decades, the Ohio State Buckeyes front office, if you will, athletic director, has picked the best possible coach for the Buckeyes. So the answer is undeniably yes, they're going to be good. The problem is that will there be a year where they have anywhere from 2 to 4 losses? I think we can all agree that for them to go undefeated this year would be a surprise. But it also wouldn't be shocking if they had anywhere from 3 to 4 losses this year for the rest of the people who aren't Buckeye fans. And then you have everybody else. But the dark star of the East would be Penn State. And Penn State's defense, I think, is going to be the best defense in the East. especially with Frank
over
under
Michigan
head coach.
over Michigan State and arguably the best front seven in the Big Ten.
Over Michigan State, yes.
Oh
yes.
yeah. Oh.
Penn's. Well, if Michigan State has the best defense, then why aren't they in the discussion for the East
I think they should be. I said they could win 8 to 10 games this year.
Who's their quarterback?
Brian Lewerke didn't have a great season last year.
Thank you very much.
But he was injured all last year, and I think if he's just a little bit better, they'll win 8 or 9 games easily.
Okay.
Let's get to the Western Division now, a more tightly contested division with I have Nebraska winning it. I'm hopping on the Nebraska hype train this year for the Big Ten West. I know you're not a huge fan of that.
No,
I have
not
Iowa at 2, Northwestern at 3, Minnesota 4, Wisconsin 5, Purdue 6, Illinois 7. Iowa and Northwestern, I think whoever wins that game will probably finish second or third. Not saying Iowa's necessarily going to win it, but I think Iowa's the second best team in the West right now, unless Hunter Johnson is anywhere close to where his recruiting ranking was. Northwestern will probably win this division. But for now, I have them at third just until I see Hunter Johnson, if Hunter Johnson can play. And if he's really good, they'll probably win this division. But if he's just kind of average, they'll probably end up about third. Minnesota, I think, is going to take a step forward this year, maybe winning 7 or 8 games. Wisconsin, I have at 5. They're completely reloading on basically, in every side of the ball this year. I don't see them having a fantastic season. Maybe they make a bowl game, but they'll be back in 2020. Purdue at 6. I know they have the most arguably the most talented player in the league, in the country, in Rondale Moore. But the rest of the team, I don't really see them taking any steps forward this year. And of course, Illinois at 7. Sorry, Illinois fans. I'm from Illinois. It'd be cool if they were good, I guess, but don't think it's going to happen this year. Last year, I said Lovie Smith was going to be fired for some reason. He stayed there. He'll probably be gone after this year. What's your take on my predictions for the Big Ten West, and why are you so down on the Cornhuskers, unlike everyone else?
Well, so you want me to judge your predictions? That's not a problem. Why am I down on the Cornhuskers? Well, number one, they've had multiple horrible seasons, and 4-8 2 years in a row is a mark of a program that is in trouble. If you look at 2014 under Lloyd Carr, they lost Brady Hoke.
You're talking those are Michigan coaches.
That's correct.
Okay.
The Michigan Wolverines were sub 500. They were really bad. And then the very next year they got a new coach with the same team. They were 10-3. So Harbaugh is on a different level. Obviously, he's an NFL coach, just like Nick Saban. They went from college to the NFL and then back to college. Although Harbaugh was just straight college player to the NFL. The bottom line is that I think that if Nebraska already had the foundation that, say, Michigan had, then last year would have been way better than 4-8. That's 8 losses. I mean, that's a bad season.
No, that's
yeah. And I think that while Frost did what he did at UCF is the only reason why people are, saying that. And Martinez is their quarterback. He's a young, athletic person, but he's still got to be better than everybody else in the division, let alone the conference. I don't think he's better than Justin Fields. I don't think he's better than Hunter Johnson. I really don't think that he has what it takes. But anyway, why am I high on the Wildcats of Northwestern? I mean, if you just think about it,
because you're a Northwestern fan, you could just admit it. It's because you're a Northwestern fan.
Probably half of it, but literally I've spent my entire life, looking at a team that was mediocre or less than mediocre most years.
True.
And I will tell you that when you have a defensive foundation like they have, that teams aren't going to put up 50 points on them. It just doesn't happen anymore. And you've got to get to the point where, okay, our defense is good. If our offense can be better, we'll be competitive for the championship. And I think they're there, but I don't see Wisconsin being that bad. I think you've placed Wisconsin at way below expectations. They're a contender for the West Division in my mind because of their coach and because of Jonathan Taylor. If Jonathan Taylor is as good or better than last year, Wisconsin can fix those problems.
Yeah. And I hate this this notion with Northwestern that since Clayton Thorson's gone, they're going to be crappy on offense. But Hunter Johnson, I think, is going to be better than Clayton Thorson. I think he's going to be leagues better than Clayton Thorson. Hunter Johnson will probably be one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the Big Ten by the time his career is done. I mean, that's how good this kid is, and at least that's how good he could be. That's his potential. So I expect him to have a solid season anyway. If he's great, Northwestern will probably win the division, but we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Now, let's go to the meat and potatoes of this segment, the Week 1 predictions, one of our favorite things to do. We do pretty well on these because a lot of them is it's a lot of group, games versus group of 5 teams. But the last 2 years, our teams have played on Thursday night, Ohio State and Indiana. Ohio State played Indiana in 2017, and Northwestern played Purdue last year, and both times our teams won. So that doesn't happen this year. The other of us play on a Thursday night. But the Big Ten does have some Thursday night games, and let's get to that right. Let's get right into it. The first game we have here, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Yes, they're the Jackrabbits. On Thursday, August 29th, are traveling to Minnesota to play the Golden Gophers in PJ Fleck's second season. No, third. Is it his second or third year as Minnesota's head coach? I think it's his third year. His third year as Minnesota's head coach, third season. Minnesota should win this game by a lot. And one thing we're going to add to our predictions this year, at the end of the year, we're going to give a total tally how we've done outright and against the spread. I think Minnesota is going to win this game, and I think they will cover as well. They are favored by 12.5 according to Vegas, and so I'm going to pick Minnesota to win this game and cover.
I mean, the fact that you're picking Minnesota to beat South Dakota State could be arguable. I don't think that I think that some people recognize South Dakota State as being a decent team. You got to remember that the Golden Gophers have really struggled. Now, I know a lot of teams are picking them, but I'm going to go ahead and pick. I'm going to go out on a limb here and pick that Minnesota will win, but they will not cover the spread.
Okay, see, this is when you do these emotional picks. Like, they're going to win, but they're going to barely squeak by. No, they're going to destroy South Dakota State. So you're already starting off 0-1 against the spread. Anyway, on Friday, August 30th, Michigan State is hosting.
This is opinion. Okay.
Games on Friday, August 30th. There are 4 Big Ten games on August 30th, just the one on the Thursday, the 29th. Tulsa is traveling to East Lansing to play Michigan State. Michigan State is a 22.5-point favorite. I'm going to have them winning this game and covering as well. Now, I think they'll probably barely cover. They'll probably win by probably 30. If that, though. They're barely going to cover. I don't think they'll cover by that much. It will be very close to 22.5, but I think they will cover and get the win.
Well, Michigan State is going to win, but I don't think they're going to win by 30 points. I mean, 30 points is more than 4 touchdowns. So, and Tulsa's no slouch team.
Yeah, I mean, they're not fantastic.
I got Michigan State. And what was their spread?
22.5.
I'll go with 23. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You'll take them. So you got them
covering.
Got them covered. All right. The next game is an interesting one. Wisconsin at South Florida. South Florida's been pretty good the last couple of years. There's no denying that. And this game is at South Florida in Tampa. So this is going to be an interesting game. Wisconsin's favored by 13. I think Wisconsin's going to
Let's review.
I think Wisconsin,
before you give your pick.
Okay.
Let's review last couple of years. No. In the last 8 years, yes. But not in the last 2 years, no.
Yeah. So I don't know what you meant by that. I'm not following at all. Wisconsin's favorite.
You said South Florida's been good.
Oh yeah. They've been good. Yeah, they've been good the last couple of years. Last 8 years, no, but last 2 years, yes. I think Wisconsin wins this, and this is tough, man. I don't know if they're going to cover. I don't think they're going to win, but not cover. I don't think Wisconsin can go in there and win by 2 touchdowns plus.
Oh yeah, Wisconsin absolutely versus South Florida. Wisconsin's a good team. They're not a bad team at all. The only reason they didn't win last year is a few slip-ups as far as losing games they should have won. I.e., last year they did lose to Northwestern, and they should have won that game.
Irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant because.
Irrelevant.
Okay, but I
talking
have
about this
Wisconsin
year.
winning this game, and I have them winning the spread.
All right.
Winning
All right. All right. The next game is UMass at Rutgers. And the spread for this game is just laughable, as was the Minnesota spread was kind of laughable too. I'm not gonna lie to you. The fact that they're only favored by 12.5. Rutgers, we're gonna go by the Westgate Superbook line, so that's the third column here. I'm gonna get Rutgers is favored by 15, and I think they will cover. It'll probably be about by 20 or 21. They will cover though against UMass, getting 15 from Vegas. What do you think?
Yeah, I think UMass. Well, have you seen what's happened to their program? So I think that they're done, and I think their program has literally committed a fratricidal mistake. So yeah.
Next game we have here is Purdue and Nevada. Another interesting one. Purdue having to travel to Nevada. They're going to get 9.5 from Vegas. They're going to blow Nevada out of the water in this game. Rondale Moore is going to have like 3 touchdowns, blowing Nevada out of the water.
Well, that's
Purdue's going to win, and they cover.
Should Purdue win? Yes. And I think in the week one we always pick like the should. There's always surprises. I would not be surprised if Nevada puts up a really good fight just because it's week one.
I wouldn't be either, but Purdue, they might be close in the first or second quarter, but I think Purdue's going to pull away.
Let's talk real quick. Let's talk Purdue quarterback situation. Purdue's quarterback situation for several years. I mean, since Drew Brees?
Yeah.
They have not had a great quarterback. And in my mind, they haven't really even had a quarterback that's been worth a poo.
Yeah.
So you're looking at possibility of Rondale Moore running a lot of jet sweeps. You're looking at possibility of Rondale Moore catching and breaking tackles or just juking people. But other than that, Purdue's going to be the same as last year.
So do you have them winning this game or no?
Yeah, I do.
What about covering? They're 9.5-point favorites.
Not covering.
Not covering. Interesting. Next, we have here on August 31st, the first Saturday of college football. Cannot wait for that. The Florida Atlantic Owls with Lane Kiffin travel to Columbus to play the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State's getting 27. If we don't cover, there's something wrong if we don't cover in this game. Ohio State's going to win. They're going to cover.
Wait, what's the spread?
27.
That's a lot of points. There's a lot of points. I got them winning, not covering. It's going to be an interesting game, and I'll tell you that the reason being is that it's possible that Justin Fields could get, just most of the reps, but not all of the reps. Do you really feel like Justin Fields is the new face of Ohio State?
I think eventually he will be. It might take a couple games, but he's the face of our program right now.
So with that said, I feel like maybe Ohio State's going to get a comfortable lead, and then after that, they're going to end up, putting in whatever backup they decide to put in. It could be anybody. And that, with that said, I mean, you're looking at 18 to 21 point win. So they're not going to cover, but they're definitely going to win handily, and that's really kind of my point.
Gotcha. Next game we have here is Howard at Maryland. I do believe Howard played at Maryland a couple years ago to start the year too. I looked for a line on the website for this game. I couldn't find one. So Maryland's going to win.
There doesn't need to be one.
There shouldn't be one.
Maryland has to absolutely.
Correct. Maryland wins easy.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, next.
Maryland wins, and they're not going to win. Well, I said easy, but I don't think Maryland's going to win. I think it's going to end up being a closer game than you think with Maryland. They're not very good.
All right. The next game we have here is Akron at Illinois. Do you remember Akron beat Northwestern last year? Now, they didn't really have that good of a season, but they did beat Northwestern last year. I think Illinois is going to get the win, but there's no way in heck that they're covering. I was in attendance for the game at home against Kent State last year. The Illinois played, and they only won that game by 7. They were down 17-3 at halftime in that game as well. No chance Illinois covers, but they do get the win.
So I'm absolutely appalled that U of I has kept Lovie Smith for so long. I don't know why. I think it's because they really stink.
Yeah.
And that Lovie Smith is the best possible recruiting coach that they have. Unfortunately, I have Akron beating Illinois this week.
Honestly, I don't think you're too crazy for that. The next game we have here is Indiana and Ball State, a little in-state game here, being played in Indianapolis. So this is a neutral site game. Ball State is not hosting this game. Indiana is getting 16.5. Indiana is going to win this game, and they will cover.
Yeah, I've got Indiana. What's the spread?
16.5.
Ooh, 16.5. Again, like that's a.
They'll do it.
Well, there's a reason why they put the spread the way it is. It's to even things out. So again, each spread pick is designated, for someone to bet against the spread too. So think about 16.5 here. You got 15. So they have to be up 2 touchdowns and a field goal in order to win. And I don't see. Man, this might be the toughest one of all. I don't, maybe other than Northwestern and Stanford coming up. I feel like Indiana should, so I'm going to go ahead and yeah.
Gotcha. The next game we have here. So wait, you don't think Indiana's going to cover?
No, I do think Indiana.
They will cover. Okay.
Yeah.
The next game we have here: South Alabama at Nebraska. Nebraska's getting 35 at home, and Scott Frost's season 2 debut. Adrian Martinez and the Nebraska Cornhuskers looking to come out of the gates with firing on all cylinders, and they will. I think they're the biggest favorite in the Big Ten this week, outside of Idaho and Penn State, or Idaho versus Penn State and Maryland and Howard. The lines on those are not made. I'm sure they would be crazy, but of the games that have lines, Nebraska is getting 35, and that's the highest. I'll take Nebraska to cover that.
Yeah, I've definitely got Nebraska winning this game, and we've talked about this in other videos as well. Nebraska has to win this game. There's no way that the players are going to allow it to not happen. Even if Scott Frost is sick with flu and can't walk or be on the field, Nebraska's got enough talent to beat.
Yeah.
Then again, same team as last year. I started 0-6. I feel like there's, but yeah. This would be a great test to see if Nebraska can just roll,
right.
So to speak.
The next game we have here: Idaho at Penn State. Not going to do too much talking on this one. Penn State wins it. No line for it. No need to make one. I guess Penn State wins.
Nah, 100% Penn State all the way.
And we're gonna
Although they struggled with App State last year, but this is
they did. This is different. We're gonna skip the next game and save that one for the last because that's easily the biggest game in the Big Ten Week 1.
Yeah.
The next game we have here: Miami of Ohio is going to travel to Iowa to face the Hawkeyes. Is Kirk Ferentz ever going to retire? We don't know. Iowa might be a top 25 team to start the year, so that'll be interesting to see. At the time of this recording, the AP poll is going to come out tomorrow at noon, so interesting to see how that goes. They're giving 21.5, and I think they will win this game over Miami.
Miami of Ohio teams you got to look out for, so Iowa should win, but I don't think they're going to cover that spread. No,
really?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Absolutely.
Next, we have Middle Tennessee and Michigan. Michigan is getting 32.5, so not quite as much as Nebraska over Middle Tennessee. This is tough, man. I don't know if I could see Michigan winning.
They had a great team. They had a great team last year, but Michigan's going to be.
I don't know if I can say that they're going to cover this 32.5.
32.5.
That
tough.
Seems like a lot against a team like Middle Tennessee, who isn't horrible.
No,
they win.
I would say Michigan win, but will they absolutely cover the spread? I don't know. That's tough.
I'm gonna give them. I'll give them 33 at least. They'll cover.
So they
it
might
pains me to
shut
say
them
this.
out. I mean, it
yeah,
could
they
be
might
a
shut them
shutout
out.
game.
So, and that's the thing though.
You've seen Michigan do it before.
They could go up 31-0 though, and then just put the offense in complete park, and then Middle Tennessee might get a last-minute touchdown to make it 31-7. I don't know.
Yeah, but Michigan's going to score. Right.
All right. I'll bank on that happening, and they will win and cover the spread this week in Week 1. And the final game, the biggest game in the Big Ten in Week 1. If you saw us on the Secret Sports channel, we think this is the third biggest game of all the Week 1 games, Northwestern at Stanford. Up to this point, I have every Big Ten team at least winning their game, and that ends right here. I love to see Northwestern win because I don't hate Northwestern, and I like to see the Big Ten do well. But it's Hunter Johnson's first game, and while Northwestern, this is probably one of the most talented Northwestern teams in the past few years. Stanford is also pretty talented in themselves, with KJ Costello at quarterback and a whole bunch of playmakers on the outside. So I'll take Stanford in this game, and they will cover their 6.5. Probably not any more than 10. They could win this game by about a touchdown. If I had to get a score prediction, I'd say Stanford about 28-21 is about how I see this game going. Northwestern will stay in there, though, and I would like to see them win, but I don't think they will. Stanford wins and covers.
So before I give you my prediction, the Stanford versus Northwestern, the second only top 25 game
Potentially,
is that if you look at Week 1s in the last few years of Big Ten play, you've got Rutgers getting blown out by Washington go Week 1, Wisconsin blowing out Utah State, Penn State blanking Akron, Michigan beating Florida by, the thing is that what is on paper is not always correct. Well, in this game, they have it nailed down. Could you remind me again the spread of this game?
Stanford's favored by 6.5.
Right. So this game will most likely be, decided by less than a touch.
Yeah.
That's usually the way it works out. Northwestern plays really well against teams that are good. I would say that being a first game, the fact that it's at Stanford, this is going to be the biggest game of the Big Ten for several weeks. So, as far as non-conference play.
Right.
So, I've got Northwestern squeaking it out just because I think Hunter Johnson, he is a competitor. He is a 5-star player who is looking to make a name for himself. He obviously wants to get to the NFL, and I think that he's going to have a standout game. His first game is going to be great because, if not, the implications are going to be crazy. So I've got Northwestern winning this one by a field goal in week number 1.
Interesting. It's very, very interesting there. So that'll end the show right about now. The Big Ten preview and the Week 1 predictions are over. We cannot wait for the season to start. A couple more videos going to be coming out soon this week for the college football season. We cannot wait to give those to you. Any last words for the people at home?
Hey, listen, all I have to say is we are 6 days away from football. And with that, I say, Daddy-O out.